Okay, hello everyone. This is going to be a video covering the steps of the Conic Linewise construction. I figured this was probably the best solution to not everybody being finished. That way you can work on it. Whoop, almost hit my mic there. That way you can work on it over the week and still turn it in on Friday. Okay, so to keep this video short, I'm just going to jump in. I only have a small piece of paper and a small ruler. You're obviously going to have larger paper, larger ruler, but I'm going to start off by leaving some space for a title. I'm also going to have to draw a little bit darker than you should because it doesn't show up on camera otherwise. Okay, so obviously first step would be to choose 5 points. A lot of you have gone past this point, at least I hope. Title goes up here. The title is Conic Linewise. Okay. Okay, so I've got my 5 points. These can be chosen anywhere on the page. I'm going to label them A through E. It's a little bit hard to read, but I've got A, B, C, D, E. And I'm going to connect them up in a pentagon. Or sorry, a pentagram first. And again, it doesn't matter where you chose your points, so this can be a non-symmetrical pentagram, doesn't matter. Oh, we're a little bit inaccurate there. Again, I'm rushing a little bit because I don't want the file of this video to get too big. Okay, and then I'm going to also create a pentagon out of these 5 points here. Okay, so there I've got my pentagram, my pentagon. I can tell my curve is going to end up somewhere in the middle here. And the first step, maybe I will section off a little area for my caption later on. Okay, caption's going to go there. First step of the construction, and this will be the same for every one of these 5 sections. This is called a quintant. It's like a quadrant, but for 5. So the first step would be to choose 5 points along the outer line here. Line CD, if you will. It connects these 2 points. Here's my 5 points that I've chosen. Hopefully you can see that. These are chosen arbitrarily. They can be anywhere, any spacing, but generally I try to make them, evenly spaced at least a little bit. And I'm going to number these. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So the general pattern is, right, if we drew our arbitrary points on the line CD, right, these 2 points, C and D, define the ends of that line. The next set of lines I'm going to draw come from the next 2 points up. Right, so I look here, I'm using this line, I just look at the next 2 points up. And what these 2 points do is they're going to be the centers of a new range of lines going down this way. That's a very complicated way of saying I'm going to draw lines from E to each of these and from B to each of these. So let's do that. So there's one line. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So I've got lines coming from E. I'm going to draw the ones from B. Okay, so there are my two sets of lines. And so this kind of shows what I was talking about earlier is like these 2 points are the origin of all the new lines. So, oh goodness, got a precarious mic setup here. Okay, maybe that's better. So we started on the line CD. Now we drew lines coming from E and B. Now there's going to be a set of intersections in here that I'm interested in, and the way that I know which intersections is if you think, okay, we've used these 2 points, now we've used these 2 points, we haven't used that point. So the intersections I care about are going to be along the line from D and that unused point. In this case, it's A. And it's going to be the intersections between that line and all these lines coming from E going to the numbered points. Again, if you talk about this too much, it sounds like gibberish. So what I mean is, it's these points in here that I care about. So I'm going to mark those. And again, I'm doing this darker and a little bit larger than you should, just so that it shows up on camera. And before I go any farther, I'm going to label them, because that'll be helpful later. So you can see that this point is defined by a line that goes to 1. So I'm going to label this 1 as well. You could do a little subscript number or an apostrophe or something to show that it's different, but I know I can keep track of it. So then coming from 2, there's this line, so I'm going to call this point 2. This point creates a line. Here's the intersection of 3. Follows back. Here's 4. Follow this back. And here is 5. These labels might be too small. I don't know. Hard for you to see. I'm going to label the other side as well. And again, we're concerned with the intersections of line AC now and all the lines that come from B. So it'll be these intersections along here. So I'm going to mark those in. Really, it's the same on both sides. So if you can figure it out on one side, hopefully you'll be able to see it on the other side. So let's see. This line goes to 5, so I'm going to call that point 5 there. This line goes to 4, so that's going to be 4, 3, 2, and 1 is at the top here. Okay. Now what I've got is 2 sets of intersections, I've got 2 sets of intersections, and they have numbers. And so what I'm going to do now is just draw a line between the corresponding numbered points here. So, for instance, here's point 1, and there's point 1. So I'm going to draw a line between them. Like so. Okay? And it's always going to be bottom to top, top to bottom, right? So point 2 is going to connect to point 2. Point 3 is going to connect to point 3. Point 4 to point 4. And 5 to 5 to finish this section out. 5 to 5. Okay. And you can see we are starting to get a little piece of the curve in there. Okay. So that is one quintant done, one section done. How do you move on? That's always the big question. So what I like to do first is just rotate my paper so that a new side of the pentagon is facing me. It's like on the bottom, so to speak. And again, the first step is just to choose 5 arbitrary points. So there's my 5 points. You could use different numbers. In fact, maybe I will. I'll do 6 through 10. So this will be 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. Now, okay, my pentagon is a little wacky, so it's a little bit harder to tell here. But, okay, I've got this line, CB. That's where my new arbitrary points lie. So if I take those 2 points and go up to the next set of 2 points, that's where my lines are going to come from. So I'm going to draw lines from A to each of these numbers and lines from D to each of these numbers. Okay. Okay, so there's one set of lines, and I also need lines from A. This is where it starts to get confusing, because once you have 2 sections, you start to get all these overlapping lines, and it gets confusing fast. Okay, so now I've got lines from A, lines from D, all going to these numbered points. Let's see, maybe I'm actually going to go through and darken the lines of the pentagram, if I can, because that'll help me see what I need to do next. I think that works, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that seems to help stand out. Yeah, that's better. And again, I'm kind of doing this just so it shows up better on camera. These are actually lines that in the end, oh, that one was too thick. In the end, these are the lines that I want you to color in or go over with ink. These thick ones. But again, I think I maybe went a little too thick on that last one there. Okay, well, I think that helped at least. Okay, so back to the step I was on. So, got 6 through 10. I've now got lines coming from D, lines coming from A. I know that I'm going to need a set of intersections on the right and on the left here, but I don't know where. So the way that you find that, again, is if we started with points along this line CB, we've used these 2 points in that we've used the line between them. We've now used these 2 points to create lines going to our numbers. This is the only unused point. It's point E now. It used to be point A on the last section, now it's point E. So, along the line EB, that's where I'm going to find the intersections that I care about. Along this line EB. So, it's the intersections between these lines from A and that line EB. I'll mark those in here. Okay. And again, I'm going to number them so that, or label them, because that'll be helpful later. So see, this bottom point is defined by the number 10 down here, so I'm going to call that 10 up here. Then this is defined by 9, it's defined by 8, 7, and 6. This side is the hard side. Anytime you've already done stuff on the left-hand side, it's way harder. So again, the intersections I'm interested in are going to lie on the line EC, between E and C here. So this is where it might be useful to lay your ruler along that line. In this case, it's EC. And what I like to do is to find the intersections that we care about. I'm going to start at this number 6 and follow it back until it hits my ruler, because my ruler is on that line CE. So take the number 6, follow the line back until it hits my ruler, and I mark that point. Right, because it's not that point, it's that point. Very close together, very big difference. So again, lay my ruler here, take 0.7, and really you want to do this every single time. Don't try and find the pattern up here. Take number 7, follow it back. Take number 8, follow it back. 9 goes there. 10. There's 2 points very close together, but for me it's this top one. Okay. So this is my other set of intersections. And I'm going to label these as well. So this one would be 6, because it comes from the point 6. This would be 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so now again we have 2 sets of corresponding points. Now it's 6 through 10 and 6 through 10, or the other way around. So what I can do is I can take point 10 and connect it to point 10. This will be the final step of this quintet, this section. So I take point 10 and 10, connect them up. Then I take point 9 and 9, and I connect them up. Eight and 8, seven and 7, and last is 6 and 6. Okay, see now we've got a lot more of the curve here, starting to show itself. So again, I'm done with 2 sections now. I can move on to my 3rd section. So I like to rotate the paper, again, so that this line here is facing me, or it's on the bottom. And I'm going to choose 5 arbitrary points. That's always the first step. And what are we at? We're at 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay? So that's my labeled points. Again, I'm going to take these 2 points, follow the lines up to the next set. That's where my lines are going to come from. These 2 points, C and E. So I have lines from C to each of these points and lines from E to each of these points. I'm going to draw those in. And then from E to each of those points. Oops, it's a little bit inaccurate. Okay. So there's my new set of points. It's really starting to get busy in here. So I've got my two sets of lines. That means I'm ready to find intersection points. So the intersection points on the right-hand side are pretty easy to find. Again, there's not much going on here. It's the ones on the left that are going to be worrisome. But let's find the ones on the right first. So again, I've used this line here, defined by these 2 points. I followed them up. So these 2 points, that's where my rays came from, my new lines. I haven't used that point. So that means that this point and this, or sorry, this line, line DA, that's where my intersections are going to lie. So it's the intersection of DA and all the lines from E to the numbered points. So these are my intersections here. Okay. And again, I'm going to label them. So this bottom one would be 15, then 14, 13, 12, and 11. On this side, it's going to be between D and B this time. Right, this line, that's where my intersections are going to be. And again, it's the intersection of this line and all the lines that come from C. So, because it's busy, I'm going to lay my ruler on this line BD. And then from each of these numbered points, I'm going to follow the line back until it hits my ruler. And then I'm going to take point 12, follow it back until it hits my ruler. 13. Okay, I kind of got my ruler off the line here, but I got 13, following 14 back to there. 15 to there. Okay, I'm going to label these again. So this is, where did I put my labels? This is 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, got my intersections. Now I can connect them up. So 15 connects to 15. Like so. 14 to 14. 13 to 13. 12 to 12. And 11 to 11. Okay, we're getting close. A lot of the curve is done. We only have 2 more sections. So the pattern repeats. I think I'll just go to the end here. The video is going to be probably 30-35 minutes, but whatever, I'd rather do the whole thing. Again, every time you start a new section, I like to rotate it so that this bottom line faces me. And I start by choosing 5 arbitrary points along that outer line. So there's my 5 points. Let's see, we're on 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Those are my new points. Okay, so the points are along this line AE. So I've used those points, A and E. So I follow the outer lines up to B and D, and that's where my rays are going to come from, the new lines. All right, so what I mean again is that D, there's going to be lines from D that connects to each of the numbered points, and lines from B that also connects to each of the numbered points. Really, it's just a repeating pattern the whole way around. Okay, so B to 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And then from D as well, I go here, 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 and here. Okay. Okay, now it's kind of busy on both sides. Right, we've got all these lines here on the right-hand side as well. So as you near the end, it kind of gets harder again, which is why I wanted to finish the drawing. Okay. So, right, we started with this line here. Means we've used A and E. We just drew lines from B and D, which means the only point we haven't used is C, up here. So the intersections, I need to find the intersections. The intersections are going to be along the line CE, so that's for the right-hand side, and then for the left-hand side, they're going to be along CA. Let's find the right-hand side first. So maybe what I'll do is I'll start laying my ruler for the right-hand side as well. Okay, so I've laid my ruler along line CE. I'm going to take each numbered point and follow it back till it hits my ruler. So there's a point. For 19, there's the point. 18, there's a point. 17, and 16. Okay, so there's my 5 points. I'm going to label them. We've got 20, 19, 18, 17, and 16. Same thing on the other side. Again, remember the intersections will be along the line CA. And so I'm going to lay my ruler along that line, take number 16, follow it back till it hits my ruler. This is getting hard to see, but 16, follow it back till it hits my ruler. There's my point. 17, follow it back till it hits the ruler. 18, 19, and 20. Okay. So there's my 5 points on the other side. Oh, I need to label these. So this will be 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Beautiful. Okay, and as before, I'm going to connect 20 to 20, so on and so forth. So 19 to 19. 18 to 18. 17 to 17. And 16 to 16. Oh yeah, okay. A lot of the curve is done. It doesn't look perfect for me. I think that's because I made the lines of the pentagram so thick. It creates like these flat spots on the curve, so that's not great. But it's whatever. I mean, again, this is a very rushed drawing. So, final section. I've rotated my page so that the only remaining section faces me. First step, as always, is to choose 5 arbitrary points. Okay, and this is going to be 21, 22, 23, 24, and whoops, 25. Almost at 52. Okay. So we're using this line D and E. So we're going to follow these lines up to A and C. That's where our rays are going to come from, the new lines. So I'm going to have lines from A to all the numbers. As well as C. Okay, now from C, And I've got all my lines from A. I'm going to draw my lines from C to each of these numbered points. Okie doke. So we have no more simple sides. They're all complicated. There's lines going everywhere. But I still need to find my intersections. So where I'm going to do that, or how I'm going to do that, is, okay, again, we've used these 2 points. We've used these 2 points. This is the only point we haven't used, B. So along the line BD and BE, that's where my 2 sets of intersections, my 2 sets of points will be. So I'm going to lay my ruler along this line BD, and I'm going to take point 25, follow it back till it hits my ruler. Mark that point. Take point 24, follow it back till it hits my ruler. Mark that point. 23, follow it back till it hits my ruler. 22, 21. That side's done. I'm going to label it. So this bottom one will be 25. This next one up will be 24, 23, 22, and 21. Okay. Now I need to find my intersections on this side, on the left-hand side. So like I said, it'll be along the line BE. So that's where I will rest my ruler. I take point 21, follow it back till it hits my ruler. Take point 22, follow it back till it hits my ruler. 23, 24, and 25. Okay, now I'm going to label these. This is 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. Okay, this is the last section and the last step on the last section. So I can connect 25 to 25, 24 to 24, so on and so forth. So I take 25 and 25, connect them up. '24 and 24, connect them up. 23 and 23. '22, 22. 21, 21. And we're done. Doesn't that look cool? Okay, I really love this drawing. This is my favorite drawing in projective geometry. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Let's see, the caption. Caption is the only thing left. Well, I'll cover the coloring in a second here. Let's see, the caption. What did I write for the caption? I think it was the joining lines. Right, can you read that? It says the joining lines of corresponding, comma, projectively related, projectively hyphen related, the joining lines of corresponding projectively related points will be tangent to a common conic section And it looks like I ran out of room. Where's my eraser? Here it is. Tangent to a common conic section. Okay, I don't know if you can read that, but I'll read it again out loud. So, the joining lines of corresponding projectively related points will be tangent to a common conic section. So what this means is these points 1 through 5 here and 1 through 5 there, they are projectively related to each other. If you remember back to the drawing we did about projectivity, this is basically a rearrangement or like an alternate arrangement of that drawing. Because, let's see, that was the pointwise projectivity. Because for the pointwise projectivity, we started out with 3 lines and 2 points. So we have the same arrangement here, just slightly differently, well, arranged. So the joining lines of corresponding projectively related points, so if these points are projectively related, the joining lines are the ones that go like 5 to 5, 4 to 4, 3 to 3, so on and so forth. Right, those lines will be tangent to a common conic curve. So that means that all possible points that are projectively related here, like if you connect them up, if you connect up the corresponding ones, all those lines are going to be tangent to the same conic section. That could be a circle, it could be an ellipse, it could be a parabola or a hyperbola. And there's even special cases where you just get a line or a point, which are also valid conic sections. So it's a very cool drawing. That's what the caption means. Coloring. So what I would want you to do coloring wise is either with color or with ink, draw over the lines of the pentagram or the star, and then also the outer lines of the pentagon. So those should be in color, those lines. And then I would like you to bring out the curve somehow. So whether that means shading in the inside of the curve or going over these lines that are tangent to the curve in some color or some ink or something, somehow, or you could even just, sketch in the curve here with pen or with pencil, colored pencil. But somehow I want you to bring out the curve. Really, it should be the center point of the construction, of the whole construction. And again, the title is Conic Linewise. I think you've got everything you need. This video is getting a little long, so I'm going to call that good.